I'm Amanda, and this is Not Your Granny's Quilt Show. Welcome back, everybody! I can't believe it's been 2 months since we've had an episode out. It flew by. It was crazy. So I'm here today, just me, to catch you up on all things summer, and I went on a big trip. Well, anyway, yeah, we'll talk about that because some things happened that weren't really planned for. So anyway, this is the new space. If you're watching, you can see there's a different background behind me, but I am moving my long arming business into my home, and so where the little office was that I was recording in before is now part of the long arm studio. So we're in the upstairs of the house, no longer sequestered to the garage, but here we are. You'll see the background transform over the months as I give it my quilty touches, but so far, we're doing good. We've got 4 quilts in here and some other handmade little tchotchke on the wall. So anyway, we're here in the new space. We are cooking with getting everything moved over from my parents' house into my house / garage for the long arming business. And so I'm just really excited to have that adventure under my belt, or to start putting it under my belt. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it's just been really interesting. So let's rewind. The last episode that came out before I left was on July 1st, and that was from or with Megan Gattay. She's a project designer and manager for Ruby Star, and we had a really great conversation. She lost her mom a few years ago, and we, obviously talked about quilting and Ruby Star and all that, but we had a really interesting conversation about, her digging into the afterlife and what all that means, and that really intrigued me because I grew up with the classic religious, like, you're either gonna burn in hell or you're gonna go to heaven, and I've since changed my perspectives, and so it was just really interesting to hear from somebody else, and hopefully you were able to listen to that episode because I think I really enjoyed it, and Megan's awesome. So anyway, that came out, and on that day, my husband and I actually left for Europe. So the first week that we were there, we landed in Amsterdam, spent a couple days there. That was really fun. I had never been there before, and it was like 60 degrees and rainy and cloudy, and I just was really grateful for it. There was, some sunshine, but I knew we were about to be hiking and, through a lot of the Camino in Spain, there was a lot of flat, dry area that wasn't going to get a lot of shade or precipitation. So I was just kind of soaking in that moody weather, and it was fun to just explore Amsterdam. We just walked around a lot. We love taking public transit when we're in Europe. And so, of course, we took some buses and took some, different monorails and just whatever we could, subway. Yeah, it was really fun. We took this walking tour. It was called the Anne Frank Walking Tour, and it's put on by the Jewish Museum there in Amsterdam. And you don't go into the Anne Frank house because that's a separate thing, but this tour takes you all around Amsterdam and shows you all these different locations where things happened, where maybe it was like a popular spot for Jewish families to come hang out, or it used to be the neighborhood where the Jewish families lived. And we got to see the really cool monument. It's called the Dutch Holocaust Memorial of Names. And hold on, I'm going to read some information about it. It was just so cool, so I want to make sure I get this right. It is along, I can't even say it, Vesperstraat, an important axis within the Jewish cultural quarter. The Dutch Holocaust Memorial of Names is adjacent to the Hermitage Museum, east of the Diakonis Verdant Hoftwin Garden and Cafe, just a stone's throw from the Amstel River and in close proximity to important Jewish cultural institutions such as the Jewish Historical Museum and the Portuguese Synagogue. So it is made of bricks, and then the top, it's all this mirrors along the top that kind of outline the shapes. And every brick in the walls has a name of a Jewish person that was killed in the Holocaust. There are, so it's mirror finished steel around the top, and the letters that the memorial actually spells out. So if you looked at it from the top, it spells out the Hebrew word for in memory of, and I don't know what it. I don't speak Hebrew, so I can't tell you what that is. But if you go to Holocaust Name Monument.nl, you can look at the memorial and get more information. It was made or yeah, it started in 2019 and then it was finished in 2021. Anyway, it was really incredible to see that. And then as we were walking through the streets, there were all these like little brass circles on the ground in front of some buildings. They weren't in front of every building, so I just kind of was noticing them as we were walking through the streets. And during the walking tour, we learned that those are all little plaques of like if a family lived in that building during the Nazi occupation, their name was inscribed on those little brass metal. Plaque is the best word I can come up with, but it's like inserted into the cobbles and into the brick of the streets, the cement of the streets, right in front of the homes and buildings where people lived. So it was just really interesting. Like as that clicked, I was like, oh my gosh, they're everywhere. And so just being able to see parts of the city that maybe we wouldn't have seen just being other tourists otherwise, or just kind of walking around on our own. It covered a lot of ground. When I was like mapping it out, I was like, holy cow, we walked so far. So that was really cool to see and just to experience that. We took a boat tour through the canals and that was okay, but we got sat next to some really obnoxious people, so it made it a little less fun. But anyway, Amsterdam was fun. Then we took a train to Paris, and that was something else. I had never been there before, so seeing, all the fun stuff was really cool. And we stayed a little outside of Paris, and so when we first got there, we just took transit, went and found our apartment, Airbnb, and just went directly there because we were just tired and wanted to, grab some dinner and just relax. So we did that, and then the next day we decided we were going to just walk as far as we felt like before we, got on a train or something into Paris and like into the city. And as we made our way, we walked quite a bit before we found this kind of like business hub. And there is an Arc there. It's not like the old Arc de Triomphe, but it's like this big modern one. And that's where this one like metro stop was. And so we went there, got on the metro and rode in and got off at the Arc de Triomphe. And so when you come out from under the ground, under the streets, you like come up and you just like see the Arc, and it was so cool. And it's huge. I guess like I know it's big just from like movies and TV. You can see the comparison of people standing next to it and whatever, but just like seeing it in real life was crazy. And then as we were trying to like make our way over there, I was like, oh my God, this is where John Wick in John Wick 4, where they were having that crazy fight scene in the roundabout. I was like, I sure hope that doesn't happen while we're here. And then yeah, so we just kind of looked around that, and then we walked more into the city and just kind of took it in. We stopped at a little side cafe off of the main street and just got a tasty mocktail and just sat and relaxed for a while. And then the next day we went up into the Eiffel Tower. We had bought tickets. We could only go to the second floor or the second level, which was a bummer, and we had to use the stairs. So that was interesting. But there's a lot of stairs, and there's not really much to see in between the levels as you're climbing the stairs, but we really took our time on each level to just hang out and experience being in the Eiffel Tower, and it was really fun. And we went later in the evening so that we could be up there during sunset and just see all the goings on. They were prepping for the Olympics, and so there was all this construction happening, and um, on the bridge where they like hosted the opening ceremony, um, that was like that's the view you see from the Eiffel Tower. So we actually watched the sunset kind of over that area. And then on the other side is where they had like the beach volleyball set up and all that stuff. So it was kind of crazy to see it all in action. And we stood like where Celine Dion sang her opening song, and that felt really cool. I told my niece that because she's like all into Celine Dion right now, which Lord bless her, I love that girl. And so when I told her, I was like, I stood in the spot where Celine Dion sang the opening ceremony song. She was like, "What?" She's like, "Wait, after did you meet her?" I was like, "No, it was before." And no, I didn't meet her. Um anyway, so that was kind of fun. And then after that we took a train and we made our way to Saint Jean Pied de Port, which is a really little cute town right on the edge of the Pyrenees, right across the border from Spain. And that was a really cute train ride because it's like up in the mountains, and so we just were chugging up the mountain on this train, and there was all these beautiful trees, and it's only a couple hours away from Biarritz, and so there's like all these people in like their beachy outfits and stuff getting on trains, and I was like, what is going on? And then I realized like, oh, we're only like a 2-hour train ride from a beach town where people would go spend some summer beach time. So that was pretty cool. The St. John was beautiful, and the hostel where we stayed the night was lovely. The hosts were just really sweet and took their time to explain, everything about the house to us and just make us feel welcome before we started what would be a very arduous journey. So that was really nice, and they gave us a pilgrim's blessing that wasn't necessarily religious, but it was just like the host guided us through like grounding ourselves and really just being present in the moment with each other. And everybody who was staying, we all got in a circle and held hands, and it was just like a fun little moment. I got teary-eyed because I was just like so excited to start, and we were there with our son, so it was just like really fun to be all together and just be starting that journey. And so the next morning we woke up early, packed up our bags, and headed out. And we hiked 3 days. That first day was so hard. We climbed a mountain, literally, like we climbed over the Pyrenees, and it's all road, and most of it's paved, or there's at least path. There was one spot where you had to like literally climb over this like dirt hill area, but then I mean, it's a popular path, so it's not like you're just like freely wandering through the Pyrenees mountains. But there was all this cattle around. There were sheep and horses, and they had the quintessential cowbells around their necks, so you could just hear the bells ringing all through the mountains as you're walking, and it was really, really beautiful. It was just so painful. It was about 14 miles of just straight climbing. It was just up, and the last mile and a half or 2 miles was down. And by that point I was like, just roll me down. I don't Wherever I land, that's where I'll sleep tonight, and it'll be fine. um but we stayed in a nice place. I had booked a private room so we could rest and eat. They had meals that we could just pay for, and then they would serve us breakfast and dinner, so we were able to like sit down and have a nice meal. And yeah, so we walked to the next town, which was about 12.5 miles away, and that was a little bit some more mountain climbing-ish. Wasn't bad though. We were just tired by the time we got there. And then the next day we got to Pamplona, which was another about 12 and a half miles. So first day was about almost 16 miles, and then the next 2 days were between 12 and 13 miles. And by the time we got to Pamplona, Abe, my husband, was like, I'm definitely getting a cold. And so we knew this was it would come at some point. It's known, they call it the Camino cough or the Camino cold, because everybody gets a little sicky on the Camino de Santiago, because you're in hostel rooms with other pilgrims, and you're sleeping in a room with anywhere from like 8 to 20 or 30 other people, just depending, and you're breaking your body down. And so we ended up staying in a hotel so that we wouldn't take the sickness into another hostel and get people sick. And then since we rested for 3 days, we took a bus ahead to Logroño, which would have been the city we would be arriving to that third day if we had continued walking. And then we got news that my cat wasn't doing very well. My friend who was supposed to be staying with her and caring for her, she would come and care for her and feed her and clean her litter box and all those things. But my cat has always been a little standoffish, and she doesn't like other people usually, but she will just kind of hiss and then go about her business. But she was like really upset and had really uncharacteristic behavior and was just in distress. And I didn't want to leave her that way. She's 16. So she's getting older, and we made the tough decision that I would come home early. And everything worked out for the best, I think, because I was able to continue working with my parents to get the business moved over, and I was able to, care for our Airbnb and make sure my cat was okay. And it took her a few days to adjust back to me being home. And I think if she could have crawled under my skin to stay with me at all times, she probably would have. But she eventually mellowed out and things went back to normal, so that was good. But I just had a terrible feeling that if I had stayed, something was going to go wrong. Like she would get sick or something would happen, because just like that level of stress is never good for anybody, let alone an old, you know, and an old cat. She's otherwise healthy, so it wasn't like, oh, this is going to exacerbate an underlying condition. I don't know. She's healthy. Otherwise, she's normally totally fine. But I don't know, she's my baby. I've had her for 16 years. I got her right when she was like 6 weeks old. So she's been with me all this time, and I just couldn't leave her in that state and feel good about myself. So I came home, and my husband stayed and our son stayed because he was on his own thing. Like he paid for his own adventure, so he was going to stay no matter what happened. But my husband and I agreed that he should stay and continue. So he finished the Camino, and so that was weird having a month apart. We had been apart for 3 weeks before at some point, but he was just in Colorado. So if anything weird happened or whatever, he could get home really easy. But this time he was all the way in Spain. So I will eventually go back and finish. I'll start from Pamplona, or I might actually I'll start from Pamplona so that I can walk the distance between Pamplona to Logroño. And then since I didn't walk anywhere from Logroño because I just took a train directly to Madrid from there, I'll be able to complete my journey. I already did those first 3 days, those first 3 stages, and I quite frankly never want to climb that mountain again. So, I'll just have to be one of those people who does my Camino in bits and pieces. So anyway, I did get to go and have a good time. I love Europe. I love visiting. I love Spain. So I was really bummed that I didn't get to spend more time there, but I got a week. Part of it, one day of it was in Madrid. But that was also fun because I'd been to Madrid in high school. And so it was fun to actually see things I had seen before. And I was like, oh my gosh, that wasn't like I had memory of it, but didn't really know necessarily where things were in relationship to where I had been or whatever. So getting off the train and being like, oh my gosh, I've actually been in this train station. I know the old part of the train station is actually now this like big indoor tropical garden, and I had been in there, and the building across the street, I have pictures of it because it's this giant ornately carved stone building that used to be the post office, but now it's like the Ministry of Agriculture or something. And then just up the street from that is El Parque Retiro. It's so huge. It has all these walking paths all through it. There's like all these different ponds and the Crystal Palace and all these just different things within the park, and you could be in there for an entire day and not get bored. There's just so much stuff to see and do in there, and there's little cafes, and so if you're parched or just need a snack, you can just kind of sit outside and hang out. And so that was really fun to see all that again, however many 20 years later, and just be like, oh yeah, I've been here, like I remember this. And so that was kind of fun. So yeah, I'm home. I've been home. I didn't spend 6 weeks in Europe like I thought, only 2. And but yeah, I've been getting the business ready. So I'm rambling and I'm gonna get to quilting. So thank you for listening, and let's talk about quilting. So I haven't really sewn much because I've been sewing for jobs and I've been quilting for jobs, but I haven't really done much for myself. But I am so excited because the new sweater weather sampler patterns are going to start coming out very soon, and I jumped on to or signed up to get those patterns. I did last year. I didn't make those blocks, but this year I ordered the kit from Rachel at So Joyful Studio to make sure that I actually make it this time. And they're like last year's and this year's are they're just so good, and I'm excited to make this year's. I got the kit with the backing and the binding included because I'm like, I want to have everything, because then I don't have an excuse. I can just throw it on the long arm as soon as it's done, and I can finish it. So I don't know if I'll be able to keep up with the sew along, but having everything at my house now, I think I should be able to at least stay close to on schedule with them. So that'll be really fun. I'm also, if you signed up for Carly Porter's graffiti quilting class, that starts this next week also. Or no, this Saturday, the 7th. So that's really so exciting. I hopped on her live the other day as she was kind of introducing her space and talking about different things, answering some questions, and it just got me so pumped. I went and got my sketchbook. I got some new pencils, and I'm so ready to start. That's going to be so fun, and I can't wait to really just like hone and improve my free motion skills, because right now I just rely so much on the computer, and I love it because you can get highly detailed with it and you can do custom designs. Like you can draw things within the pattern CAD program, so there's a lot of availability to do things. But I think if I like can doodle things outside of the computer and I can record myself creating the look I want. Anyway, I'm just so excited if you can't tell. What else? Oh, I did a Scraptember submission for Feral Notions. Feral. I always say it wrong. Feral Notions. Caitlin, she's doing Scraptember challenge, and so I shared a picture of the sweatshirt that I upcycled with some strips of Allison glass fabric that my mom and I had left over from some other projects. But the that sweatshirt was crazy because the pocket is kind of hidden, so it was like more on the inside of the sweatshirt so that the whole outside would just be more plain. But the top part, because of that, like the top edge of the pocket wasn't connected to anything. It was just open, like flappy. So anytime I put anything in the pocket, the pocket itself would sag out the bottom of the sweatshirt. So by doing that, I was able to stitch a line across the top of the panel and stitch the pocket in place so that it no longer sags out from underneath the sweatshirt. So it was kind of a twofer. So that was some personal sewing. I'm making pants. I'm finally, if you listened a long time ago to the episode with Lonnie's having so much fun. She has been crocheting a lot lately, if you follow her, but which is funny to me because I've been crocheting forever, but I never like make myself clothing. And she convinced me to get this pants pattern. So I was like, yeah, I'll make pants. I'll make pants. Well, that was like what, 2 years ago? I don't know. It's been a long time. And I'm finally making the freaking pants. And so I'm almost done. I just have to hem the bottoms and put the drawstring in. Otherwise, they're pretty much finished. My mom's going to make her pair too. She was like letting me work through it so she could kind of assist me. Like she's sewn garments basically her whole life, so no issue for her. But it was my first time following a clothing pattern. It's an indie pattern, so that was cool. But they're the Seaforth pants, and by I think Hello June. I'll link it in the show notes, so that you can see it. They're so cute, and there's like a wide leg kind of casual like trouser. So they've got some elastic in the waistband, and there's an optional drawstring, and there's these cute zippered pockets on the sides, so they're not inside the pant, which I like because usually on like trouser style pants, if they have pockets that are on the inside, like you know what I mean. Anyway, it hits me on the widest part of my body, my legs, and so it always looks goofy to me. So this having the pockets just be kind of flat to the outside and the front of the pant was really nice. Anyway, so yeah, I'm excited to finally be sewing those pants. I'm sorry it took me so long, Lonnie, but the inspiration was still always there. I just was a little scared. But I did it, and I'm really excited to make another pair in the near future because now I want some out of chambray. So I'll post pictures as soon as they're done. I'll model them. I'll put them on and make a big deal out of me finishing a pair of pants. So yeah, I mean, it was just feeling kind of stressful because as I was like working on transitioning the business and like getting everything over to my house from my parents' house, we were in kind of a lull. We had some long arming, but we weren't getting like custom quilt requests from Etsy. And I think it was just because of how things have been on Etsy lately. But since they seem to have been cracking down on like drop shipping, the, the accounts that we're taking over and taking away from makers, I'm starting to see a lot more interest in getting custom quilts made. So that's been exciting. I'm trying to sell off the remnant cuts of Minky that I have from Shannon Fabrics because I don't want to move them over here. I probably won't get the remnant cuts again for a long time just because it's been really hard to offload them, and I've used some in projects and things, but at this point I want them gone. So if you haven't checked out the shop, go ahead and do that. I'll put a coupon code in the show notes to give you 50% off the Minky. So I'm just trying to get rid of it. And it's already only $10 a yard, those remnant cuts, because we get them for so inexpensive. But this batch that is in the shop I've had for quite a while, and I just would like to see it go to some good homes. A lot of it is some of the digital print, so it's not just like solid. But yeah, if you have it in your heart to go purchase some of the Minky out of my shop, I would love you forever. It will help me out because I don't have as much space down in the part of my garage where we've built the studio, as I've had having everything at my parents' house, because we had a room, like their office on their main floor, plus the big old studio in the upstairs. And now we just have the garage because we don't really have a lot of extra storage in our house to keep things, especially like Minky, away from the cat. So the garage is sealed up. It's pet free. We did a lot of work to seal it off from the elements and the dust that comes in from the garage. But anyway, go buy some Minky, please. Yeah. I am just rambling at this point, so I am going to sign off, but I just wanted to update you guys, let you know what was going on. Pretty soon you will just be inundated with new episodes and new content, and you'll be seeing a lot more quilty content because not only will I have the business within my home, I'll be able to just like dig in on all the things that I've been wanting to do, but have been trying to balance like being at, trying to spend time at home while also working enough at my parents' house to, you know, get get jobs done in a timely manner. And now I don't have to go anywhere. So I feel like I can really stay on top of everything. If you're also a business owner and self-employed, you probably understand how tricky it can be to keep yourself on a schedule when you're just at home, but I thrive on having a schedule, so I'll probably set one up for myself and try to stick to it because I can get a little bit of the ADHD like freeze, like functional freeze. So I'll be doing things, but it's not necessarily the things that I should be doing. And so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. I hope y'all had a great summer. I know it's not over yet technically, but kids are back in school, universities have already started, and it's, it's today's Labor Day, so it's basically over, right? Anyway, stay safe, and I can't wait to show you guys everything that's coming up and give you a studio tour once I'm finished putting everything together downstairs and just really dive in head first. So I am again so grateful to you, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye.